Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. Thank you for joining me. This is hopefully the last major painting session on the out-of-the-box Hawker Hunter. So if you recall, those of you that were with me last time, we had left the Hunter in this state. So we'd done the underside, done the red on the top, and I just have to put in preparation. Tarka Hobbies dark green. We did Tarka Hobbies for the grey, so I thought, why not go ahead and do the same thing? My airbrush is ready. The compressor is charged. Well, so the airbrush is ready. The airbrush is has the compressor charged, and the airbrush itself is clean. And what we were going to do is freehand the last piece of the camouflage on this before we go to putting a shiny coat on and then putting decals on. So it's been interesting few days. Shop been a little slow this week. It's been chugging along. Had a few internet orders in. Thank you if you were one of those people who placed an internet order. I did actually have one that came through on Tuesday night, but I missed it. I didn't get a notification from Shopify, not Spotify. Why would I get every thing from that? So I only actually saw it today when I was reviewing the orders for the week. So apologies for that. That has gone out today. Should be with you first class, signed for tomorrow. And I did put in a little thing of Man's Model Moment extra thin cement, just by way of an apology for the delay in that one. Also, the order that came in last night was an F-35 starter kit. So any F-35 that I sell, I pop in an F-35 patch. So presuming that you are going to build it, because obviously I have seen the kit before being built because I sold it. So so if you are wanting to do the F-35 challenge and win one of these absolutely marvelously designed, if I do say so myself, 35 patches in 1080p, you might actually be able to see a little bit. This is actually like a silver grey thread. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. For the F-35 patch. And any ideas for the next challenge patch would be welcomed. I've thought of a couple. I actually thought maybe a Harrier one would be quite a good one to do. I got a couple of Harriers in today. I had three wholesale supply orders, invoices, whatever. I had 3 deliveries today, basically. One came from Revell. So I have stocked a few things like the Platinum Edition bus, which I think is on for £80. The Platinum Edition, the Technic Edition Spitfire, which I think is 105, was 150, I think, when it was released. And a whole load of Italieri 1/72 scale, fairly modern stuff. So some Harriers, Gripen, Eurofighter, sorry, there's a fly here, Mirage, Rafale, all those kinds of bits and bobs. A couple of cars, including a new tool, I can't remember what it is, some American muscle car from Revell in 1/25 scale. It's either 1/25 or 1/24. So a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, I also got an order from a company called Graph City, who do a lot of things like the Molotov. I've got one around here. The Molotov chrome markers, which are fantastic if you've got any chromed parts that you snip off. The chrome pen, you can just touch up those pieces. Really good. I use it a lot, so I wanted to stock those. So I've already got those in stock, but they also do a whole bunch of spray paints, including a range which does RAL paint numbers. And those are equivalent to a lot of military things as well. So unfortunately, not all the ones I wanted were in stock, but I got a fair few of those, especially on some of the RLM colors, which are, some of them are equivalent. Some of like modern British aircraft and American. So some of the RAL colors are equivalent to FS numbers as well. So if you're doing American aircraft, there's some which are directly equivalent. So if you want spray can, rattle can, base coats for any of that, kind of got those in as well. So the shop is looking nicely stocked at the moment, which is good. I would like some of that stock to flow through, obviously, because otherwise it's just dead, and and the shop will be. But yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. So thank you for any patrons of the shop, either in house or actually online. I really appreciate it. It's, to be honest, the loss of my consultancy contract, the most recent consultancy contract, if the shop was to actually be self-sustaining or a bit more than self-sustaining, I would be very happy just to do the shop. Going in there each day, getting stuff on. I have managed to get some more stock onto the website as well. So a lot of Tamiya aircraft kits I managed to put on. A couple of Italio bits. I need to put the armor on. That's quite a big job. And of course, all the stock that came in today as well. So it's a constant battle to try and get what comes in onto the website. The good news is that once I've got it on and then more stock comes in, it's absolute trivial thing just to update the stock. So if, for instance, a Tamiya paints, I had a few gaps in the range. 4 different paints came in today. I can't remember what they were, XF4, XF18, 26 and 28, I think. And then it's just a matter of going, because they were already on the website, you just increase quantities and it's done. So it'll get easier as I go forward. And I am trying to price myself so I am competitive with the likes of Jedlam and stuff. So some of the stuff I've got actually is cheaper than Jedlam and other internet suppliers. Some is more expensive. Some print I just don't get the margins to be able to compete with them. And some of them I do. They're obviously just making a lot more money. So if you look on there and you see some things which are a little bit more expensive and some things which are a little bit cheaper, hopefully it all balance out, So with the Tamiya paints, I actually do, if you buy 10, you get another one free, which obviously brings the average price down below what a lot of other people sell them for. But obviously I just need that volume to be able to push that free postage over £50, all those kinds of things. Plus your little gift pack and things. Anyway, I don't enough talking about the shop. Let's get into the Hunter. So I have literally done nothing to the Hunter over the last few days. I haven't had time to do anything anyway. Apart from, of course, taking off all of the masking putty. So I did post on the community post on the channel what happens to this. Now you can see there that little light piece. So this is the paint that was on. It's just kind of come to the surface. And then you can kind of just rub it off. So in terms of reusing it, absolutely you can reuse it. There were a few comments on this about it dripping down and about how it's useless because of that. It's like, well, it's not. That's not how it's meant to be used, right? You're meant to put the masking on and then do your camouflage and then take it off. You're not supposed to leave it overnight. If you want to do sort of long-term masking, I'd recommend you just use either liquid mask or paper or tape, just to get that one. Okay, so we have Hataka dark green, RF dark green. So I'm going to give that a damn good shake, because as I said before, Hataka paints, for some reason, so for some reason now my Vortex mixer decides it does want to work, which makes a lot faster work of doing this. And let's get some paint in. So for freehand, I'm going to thin a bit more and lower the pressure a bit so I don't end up splurging it everywhere. And we'll see how much of a mess I make of it. Of course, now is the time I can't find a clean syringe. Bear with me. Because I took a load to the shop recently. Sorry about that. My laptop decided that it was going to unplug the USB that the camera and microphone are both attached to. So apologies for that. That would be a scary Airfix and chill. That is indeed, taggers, the eagle-eyed. That is indeed the Airfix Nimrod. And a very nice kit it is too. I know, right? I never have technical difficulties. It's always completely robust. Right. Okay. I'm going to forego the mixing with syringe, and we'll just do mixing with a brush. And then I'll get to adjusting the camera angle. Okay. See how we go. I need my faithful sexy cogs. So you guys had a good week. I guess some of you, I guess those in the US probably aren't joining for the reason that they're still having their week. I'm getting some spidering, so I have too high pressure. Oh, actually find my pressure adjustment on my compressor. Okay, there we go. I'm just blowing some air through just to dry out the paint that was there. So obviously, if you've got too high a pressure when you're using thin paints very close to your model, you're going to get too much paint on the model at once. And you're going to get spidering. I'll be 100% honest. I don't really like darker paints for freehanding. Oh, I don't have any alcohol with me because it's all at the shop. Damn. Damn. Okay. Now I do have somewhere some Vallejo. There we go. Bear with me a second. Vallejo mystery liquids. The labels came off these long ago. Right, let's get some more paint. Oh, damn it. I've just put ocean grey in with the green. Well, it's the weekend soon. Let's start again. Let's get our darker paint. Put it with some more solvent-based, well, not solvent-based, but solvent-containing thinner. So if you use a yes, indeed. No, it is a shop, but it's all in the Kosh cupboard. So obviously the advantage of having a solvent in your paint mix is that it helps to actually dry the paint as it hits the model. So obviously that volatilizes, a good word, faster than water does. I've still got some of the old bit in. Right, let's see how we go now. And this is obviously one of the reasons why lacquer paints have got a good name for themselves, because obviously the solvents in lacquer paint evaporate very quickly. Pressure is still quite high. So no, I don't just use alcohol to thin the paint, but if you use, and I'm talking about alcohol, so ethanol, not IPA. If you use a little bit of ethanol in the mix, ethanol is a really good, has a really good set of solubility characteristics. So it's compatible with both organic and polar solvents. IPA is exactly the same. So IPA is isopropyl alcohol, propan-2-ol, and ethanol is obviously just ethanol. But they have very similar solubility characteristics. But ethanol is a little bit nicer, a bit less aggressive. IPA is quite a harsh solvent. So you can see I'm just trying to get the mix right here. The pressure, etc. I think this is about right now. So here when doing freehand, you want a lot of control. So, if you're going to be doing edges, and the other thing is, because you're using low pressures, you're not getting a lot of Venturi effect. So it means that if you're just using water, you can get sort of tip dry a bit more. I don't know why it is. I can get it perfectly on the paper, and then when I go to the model, it doesn't work. It's typical, isn't it? Okay, so it took a while, and it's not ideal. And this is one of the reasons, of course, that a lot of people don't like to necessarily freehand, is because dialing in everything to get it how you want it to, with the right amount of overspray, etc. Can be a bit of an arse. To be honest, I think I probably need to clean this airbrush a little more than it is to be able to get the best results here. But we'll soldier on. Just let me have a quick reference here so I actually know what I'm doing. Now, of course, we haven't masked off this white, so before I carry on, I actually go over that with green. We probably need to see to that, don't we? Will I be trading at Telford? No, I will not be trading at Telford. I have not got established enough to be able to afford the price of a stand at Telford by quite a long margin, I think. So I will be picking up the Outlaw paints that I've not pre-ordered, the trade stuff, the stand and the paints that I've got from Outlaw for the shop. I'm going to be picking those up at Telford, and then those will wing their way back to Wincanton with me. But I won't actually be trading at Telford. Oh, by the way, yeah, I should show what I was doing there. So, single-bladed nippers are really good for cutting angles on masking tape. So if you want to cut your masking tape, make sure you get a nice sharp edge to get in where you need it to be. Single-bladed nippers like these, you can literally just cut across, and then you've got your nice little cut in to be able to get into where you want, not over mask. So you don't have to use scissors or anything. These work really nicely. As hopefully you can see there. So this is one of those things that myself and Nunu, the Plastic Alchemist, disagree absolutely 100% on. So the Tamiya, if you want to get into modeling and you want to start on large scale kits, a 48 scale kit, because for whatever reason, 70-second kits too small, you have no interest in them, you just find it difficult to see the parts or manipulate them or whatever it is. You want to start at 48 scale, but if you're just starting off, you don't want to spend a huge amount of money. I've missed a piece of masking here. The 148 scale Sea Harrier from Tamiya, well, I sell it for £12, which is the same price as a 172nd scale, like Spitfire, right, from Airfix. Right, it's very, very little, and it has a whole bunch of accuracy issues. But if you're just starting off in modeling, that probably doesn't concern you, right? You want to get into the hobby to see if it's something for you, whether you enjoy it, and just go from there. Now, it goes together, not brilliantly, but it's okay. and it gives you a decent size kit at the end of it. I've done a couple of videos on this, and it teaches you some basic modeling skills without being horribly frustrating. So, Tamiya kits are generally pretty good in terms of fit, etc. There are a couple of quite prominent seams and stuff on that kit, but that teaches you about, if you want to, it teaches you about filling. There's nothing wrong with just slamming that kit together and just saying, yeah, I enjoyed that. I got something that looks like a Sea Harrier. And then moving on. And then if you want to go back to it and improve it later, there are a whole bunch of things you can do to it to improve it. So for £12, what else are you going to get in 1/48 scale that's going to give you that sort of experience? I think we get far too involved with, oh, well, it's not accurate and, all this. If you don't know much about modeling, it doesn't matter. I think we can get far too snobbish sometimes in our hobby about what we will consider and what we won't. So the Tamiya Sea Harrier, it is what it is, right? It's much like the Tamiya Panzer II. It's not the best Panzer II available, but it's a solid kit. It's £10, and you can build, a reasonable 1/35 scale kit with it. So as with all these things, it's a matter of you pay your money, you take your choice. And if you're just starting in modeling, I would never recommend you get a very complicated or very expensive kit, because what if you don't like it? I don't want to be responsible for you, spending 50 quid on a mini art kit or 60 quid on a mini art kit that you think, oh my God, if this is the hobby, it can go to hell. So that's the rationale behind the Sea Harrier. I also sell accurate kits of the Sea Harrier. They're a lot more money. So, there's something for everything. The Mary Rose that Airfix do isn't a super accurate 1/400 scale Mary Rose. But it's, what is it, £11? It's fun. It's a nice little kit. It fits well. It's got some good decals. If you're into old ships, it's a really good entry point. So, yeah, that's the reason it's there. Okay, let's have a little go at this now. I've done the masking there. Let's get rid of this. It's in the way. Move that over there a little bit. There we go. Right, now where is my cover for my airbrush so I don't pour paint all over? Here we go. Once bitten, twice shy, as they say. So whenever you're doing freehanding like this, you always want to start your airbrush either off the model or like on a bit that doesn't matter, like this masking. Because then if I did something like this and did a really big blurge, it doesn't matter. The only thing about freehanding is it's pretty dull to watch. So I'm trying to turn up the flow a little bit on these areas just to speed things up a bit. So how's the compressor kicking in? Ah, need to clean this tip. So generally, if I'm freehanding, I will use Tamiya paints. I don't have enough pressure now. Because, as I say, I don't find Taka paints are very good for this kind of thing. So you also notice how close I am to the surface. So I'm about a centimeter, and then pull back for like a couple of centimeters just to fill in the areas when I can actually pull back and do that. Yeah, I do find Tataka doesn't leave particularly even areas. I don't know if you can see that when you're doing this kind of thing. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me now. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So for some reason, the setup that I was using on Wednesday night to record Beyond the Box, which worked perfectly for 3.5 hours, doesn't want to perform tonight. So I had to resort to the microphone in the actual webcam, which isn't as good. So if you hear differences in the audio is not that great. I can only apologise. That's the reason for it, but not sure why that's the case. But let's just crack on. So I keep switching just to come in from the other side, away from the prior grey camo. Again, just to limit the overspray and the potential for mishaps. Hey, what is going on with this? Hey. See if we can have a look at this tip. So, really need a pair of pliers, which I don't seem to have around. Typical. You know, some days streams go well, other days this happens. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. Where can I put this paint without a syringe? That is going to be okay. I can reuse it in a second. Okay, let me see if I can get a bottle for this. Okay. There. Hey. Oh, you are kidding me. It is Friday the 13th, isn't it? I don't know what is going on. Here we go. Holy God. It's Halloween come early. I tell you what it is. Ghost in the machine. Okay. There is our paint. Let's have a good blast through. Let's whack up the pressure in the airbrush and then blast this. So the reason I'm doing that is so I can take this apart. Because clearly it's not doing what it should be doing. I just can't get that end off. Come on. Come on. Play ball. There we go. So quite often when I'm detail painting, I'll actually get rid of the crown, as it's known. It makes it much easier to make sure this is clean. Yeah, I think it might be that although I've kept this wet since last session, I didn't really clean it out properly afterwards, so it's probably my fault. It's usually the case in these things, but it's a user error. I don't want to use that tiny brush to clean out that there. So there we go. We've had sound with no camera, camera with no sound, no camera and no sound. We've had it all. Yeah, I think this is a good teachable moment. Clean your airbrush before you're going to do freehand work. It helps. Surprising that, really, isn't it? You know, look after your equipment and tools, and things usually go better. Of course, I planned all of this. It's all to demonstrate that particular point, right? I wouldn't have just messed this up, of course. Oh. Okay. This may be the reason I was having issues. I get a nice white background for you, and show you the tip of the brush, and if I get it away from the actual that piece, that I just got out of the back of the needle and nozzle. Yeah, that won't help. Yeah, science moment. Science moment is that just because you've got liquid, you know, some sort of cleaner or solvent actually in your cup, doesn't mean it's going to get all the way through to where you need it. And actually clean out all the paint, and you can get little localized areas which precipitate out and lead to that kind of thing. And then when you try and do detail stuff, you've got no chance. Okay. Let's see how that goes. You see, I'm bringing massive pressure there, but well, that certainly seems better. Let's pull down the pressure, gradually increase it. Put our paint back in. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Look at that. Who would have thought with a nice clean airbrush? Now look at this. I can do scribble camouflage. Yeah, okay. I think that illustrates the point. If you're having problems, don't try because it's just look at your airbrush. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? That's so much nicer. Yes. Of course, the problem when you've got your paint all done for freehanding small areas, it's trying to do big areas ends up in a bit of a mess or takes forever. But that is so much easier. So much easier. So you can see, you can just build up your edge. I mean, it's again just a matter of working from the edge in. And then filling in your work. It's a bit like, you know, doing child's drawing books, colouring books. Get the edge how you want it, and then do your block colour. Much, much easier. Yes, very much, Phil. So that means we can speed this up a little bit. Of course, that still doesn't change my opinion of Hataka for detail work. It's still not the most pleasant to work with. Compared to something like Tamiya. Yeah. I just have to mute the mic for the compressor once more. Probably slightly too high a pressure on the airbrush at the moment, but I just want to get some paint down. Now, if you can see this, see if I can get a decent view on here. So the other thing is to remember when you're doing freehand work at low pressure is you do tend to get more tip dry, like this. See that? Up there, that's just where paint. I don't know if you get this is going to focus. little piece of paint there. That's just like a little glove on the end of the needle. Tiny. It's only about a third of a millimeter long, about 3 millimeters. But yeah, you see now it's acting much better again. So you just have to keep checking it, which again is just a pain. So in general, the only time I ever freehand is when I'm doing things like German mottle camouflage, scribble camouflage, like I've done here on AFVs or aircraft, because there you are not trying to get a solid coat of colour over an area. You're trying to get, you know, that blobs of airbrush colour effect, because that's what they are in reality. And I just find if you're freehanding, you're not getting that consistent paint coat all the way across the area that you're trying to, because you are doing little, you know, bits of you know, little lines of paint. And because we're using thin paint, and because we've done pre-shading, you know, you don't want to keep going over and over it to get the depth of color, depth of consistency, because you're going to be erasing a lot of the work that you've done in that pre-shading. So I just find it's just easier to mask it, do your spraying, get the consistent coat color, and then you can introduce other effects afterwards, you know. Although freehanding sounds like you're saving time, in reality, it kind of not. For me, I mean, obviously, I can only speak to myself, my experience, what I prefer, but yeah, I'm spraying at too high a pressure. But we'll stick with it because it's also useful to show that even if you feel you've made a real mess of it, you can still come back. Ugh, this is a real mess. Yeah, if I was doing this on anything other than this live stream, I wouldn't do this. Just turn that pressure down a little bit. The valve I have on this compressor isn't great either for control. So yeah, this is probably about as non-ideal as you can make this situation. Actually still get some sort of result. So you should be encouraged that, again, I don't believe there are really very many dead ends in modelling. There's always a way. Move the camera a bit. You can't see that. There we go. Yes, so doing freehand camouflage application on a large scale model like this, you know, for block color, it's not really the most advisable way of doing things. You're not playing to the strengths that you have to work with, right? It's possible, it's just not the best. But hey, at least you guys know it's not staged. Right? Right. Now, that was a good demonstration right there of why you should come in from the other angle. See here, just spraying, you know, if you can see that very well. Doing this so we can get that light on. It's going to work? No, okay. Nothing works tonight, obviously. That's just the rule. So back here, I was, I don't know if you can see it, I was spraying in this direction, and you've just got a little bit which has gone down by capillary action down that little panel line there. Now again, I'm not going to do anything about that at all, because bear in mind again, this is the base camouflage coat, right? We're still going to come in, we're going to put decals on, and we're going to do panel lining. So don't worry too much if you've made little things like that. You know, paint running along a panel line isn't the great disaster you might initially feel it is. Oh, still a piece of masking. Yeah. All right. Out for the weekend. Well, have a good one. Have one for us. Eventful stream. I think that's a very polite way of putting it. Hi, John Ack. Welcome. You've come at a time where things have actually started to work. It's been quite, well, as Aaron said, an eventful podcast stream. Now, it's interesting. I have a bit of masking coming up there. And I don't have all of the masking on the other side of that stabilizer, which is going to be problematic if I continue. That's a little better. So as John Alec has stepped in, it reminds me to give a shout out to a couple of other streamers and modelers in our little YouTube fraternity that we have. We're a group of us. It's kind of the Airfix and Chill crowd. So Airfix and Chill on a Monday night, if you've not yet joined us, is a little show hosted by Moss of Moss 6510 Models. And we chat about all kinds of model related topics. Typically we have a theme. It's on a Monday night. And we'll give our opinions on, last time, for instance, was what's the way forward for Revell and Hella. A couple of companies that have had some troubles in the past few years. Seeing what they can do to win people back. So please come and join us if you enjoy watching people rant about stuff. We don't really rant. We try and have reasoned discussions. So I'm just trying to get some consistency in this. I need to clean the tip again. So while I'm doing that, just on that thread, so there are a few of us that could do with a shout out. So John Alex Scale Modelling, well worth going and having a look at what John does. There's some really, he has incredible patience, far more than I do, because he does many art kits. I will do a mini art kit, honestly, John. I just haven't, well, I haven't had the time to do anything really of late. But certainly not a mini art kit with its 1,000 part count plus. Fenris models. Fenris does some really interesting and fun things. He's also occasionally got his daughter's models on there as well. So she's quite young and she does some little things with him, which I think is obviously the way a lot of people got into modeling in the first place. The way I got into modeling in the first place, doing models with my dad. So that's really nice to see. So go and check him out. Nunu, Plastic Alchemist, I think we've had several times on the live streams. Model Minutes, I think a lot of you know, LPG models. Occasionally pops in as well. So go and check their channels. Sully Scale Models as well. Sully is great at doing weathering. He's primarily, I would say, an armor modeler. Maybe that's not true, because he's done he's doing seeking at the moment, but a very interesting seeking. I'll just tell you that I 3D printed some chickens for him, so that might give you a bit of insight as to what might be coming there. So go and check these guys out. I'll try and leave links in the description. So what I'm just doing there is, there was a bit that had just gone down where I didn't want it, so I'm just using a brush with a little bit of, actually it's just screen wash, just to wipe that off while it's wet. Very easy to do, and doesn't damage the undersurface. Okay, that's a pretty horrible paint job. I would say, and needs definitely more work. And this is why I don't freehand block camouflage. So whilst we might bemoan masking, the benefits of taking your time doing masking and then just painting over that to give a nice consistent clean coat are well worthwhile, I feel, compared to faffing around like this to produce something that I personally am not very happy with. Now, of course, a lot of it is because we are using quite thin paint, or very thin down paint, in order to make sure that we have that thin consistency to get the edges. Of course, Tarka is pain in the ass with. And in some ways, it introduces, you know, variation in the coat. But it's just not a variation I really care for. So, yeah. But again, we can redeem this. It is not irreparable. But you guys asked for it, so you got it. The hideous free-handed block camo. On a more interesting note, my girlfriend worked on the will and probate of a celebrity today. Can't say who, obviously, because it's wills and probate. She's a sister, and she'll get, well, she'd lose her job if that says. But quite interesting. Not as rich as you'd think. I mean, beyond our common means, of course, but considering the status of them in the past, surprisingly small amount of money. I mean, what I will say is their main residence is about the same as mine, which is, you know, just a very normal property. So, value-wise. So, yeah, pretty surprising, really, when you think about it. Okay, so we have freehand camo on there. Now, there's enough variation, I think, in there that I'm not actually going to come back in, I don't think, with a lightened version to go on that. I'm not sure that's going to give us too much extra. I think we have enough visual interest to where we can start, although maybe on that side. You know what, sod it, we should. Now, that is quite a good idea, actually. The perils of live streams is a good topic, and I think it would be interesting to do that on an Airfix and chill. So what I'm doing now, obviously, this is the Hataka dark green. I'm looking for a light green. Generally, if you're going to lighten a color, don't do it by putting white in. Generally, try to use a lighter, you know, a similar shade, just lighter. Obviously, if it's grey, white is fine because you're not washing out any colour by doing that. But far easier to take the tone down consistently. There are some really, really good videos about how to lighten colours, what colours you should use. You know, using yellow and rather than white for greens, for instance, all based on color wheel and color theory. If you're going to do a lot of painting and really get into that, they're well worth checking out. People far more talented and far more artistic than me, artistic, not autistic, have some really good advice about how to do these things. Well, I was hoping we could get some decals on tonight, but I'm not sure I'm going to hit that mark. See, so I'm just hitting. Wow, that looks like an extreme difference on camera. Wow. It doesn't look that extreme in reality. What I'm doing here, obviously, is trying to just create the lighter areas to reinforce the contrast that we established for the pre-shading. That's amazing how that how different that looks on camera. Trying to touch it just by the grey, so I don't get any big thumbprints on something. Right. Okay. I know it looks extreme on the camera, but here in person, that has helped a lot. That's much nicer, even though it looks a little bit caricaturish on the camera. All right. So I think, what time is it? 10 past. Okay, we've got enough time to put a, well, one thing, take all this masking off, and then put a gloss coat on. At least start to do that. Let's get the aircraft stand back. This will help us to remove the masking. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the areas that I've just sprayed. So we've managed to preserve the undersides there. Right, let's still got that nice sharp edge. Nice sharp edge all the way along there. That's good. Okay. We haven't screwed anything up there. That's that's reassuring. Or at least we've not screwed anything up that we did before. Let's say that much. Still got our white undersides, the tips of the wings. And of course, we do have that bit where I forgot about the the tips and sprayed over here. So we'll need to just mask over that spray. Otherwise, that's all looking fairly good. Right, masking tape off. As I said, I always like that part. You can take the masking tape off and you've got that nice crisp edge. Now, if you can see here, you can see we have got a little bit of bleed through on that panel line, just along there. But that's not going to matter because we're going to gloss coat this and then we're going to panel line this anyway. So if you've got a bit extra on there, it's really not going to detract from what you've got overall. Let me very quickly mask over this piece, the edge. Now, is that dry enough that we can actually mask on it? We'll risk it. I mean, everything else has gone perfectly tonight, right? So what could possibly go wrong? Oh dear. That's pun of the evening, maybe. That's definitely a couple of hi-hats and a cymbal. Worthy. I'm not actually going to mask all the way to the edge here. I'm just going to go across on that because it doesn't really, I'm not trying to be precise here. I just want to touch up what I messed up before. To that point, I'm actually going to just sort of mask like so. And then I'm actually going to use a sheet of paper, or as I have it handy, part of the instruction sheet. I do apologise for those of you who think this is heresy, but I'm just going to actually shove this under here. And you see now all of that is shielding the aircraft from any overspray. So there's no reason to use loads of masking tape for it when you can just get away with shielding it with a piece of paper. So again, I'm just using this white primer. Let's give it a shake. And I'll quickly spray this. Like so. Probably needs a little more actually. That's good enough. So it's like a bird with an injured wing with plaster on the end, doesn't it? So it was just to restore that that white that I had messed it before. Have you missed much? Well, you missed a lot of weird stuff happening. Clogs, disconnection of the internet, my camera, all kinds of horrific stuff like that. And I put some camouflage on. So I'll leave you guys to be the judge of what you've missed. Okay, so that's that. I'll just compressor going again. Just actually noticed a couple of little bits I need to tidy up. a little spot of paint on my hand. God damn it. So if you ever do something really dumb like that, again, paintbrush and water is your friend. There we go. Disaster averted. So guys, I'm just going over some of these bits because just the addition of that little bit of what did I use? Army paint. Now this is not ideal paint to spray with at all, but just adding a little bit of that to the Hataka just made it such a better consistency. I don't know what it is about Hataka paint. It's just so much easier to control. Anyway, I don't really want to touch this very much because the paint hasn't cured. So I think actually it's probably best not to do the gloss coat. The other thing you can do, once you've got paint which you can decently control, like this, you can go along and just put little, micro deviances, let's call them that, in the surface, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Again, you'll hardly see these. It's almost subliminal, some of the stuff that we're doing. It just makes it look less regular, and I mentioned before about regularity in our eyes. It's why camouflage works, right? It's the animal kingdom. camouflage works in the animal kingdom, so we'll be a part of that, because it disrupts those lines, it blends them into the rest of the scenery. So it's just, we're trying to do the same sort of thing. Again, I've mentioned many times about it's creating the illusion of what we see in miniature, because recreating what's actually there won't make it look quite what we actually see. Kind of sounds counterintuitive, but hopefully you get what I mean. Okay. I think that's probably where we should leave it. Given my luck tonight, I don't want to push it anymore. I think we should just leave that to cure fully, not mess with it. Take Friday the 13th as just one of those things. And then next time, it'll be easy to put the clear coat on, put the decals on, and move forward from there. Because I think the modelling gods have decided that tonight was not to be an easy one. But at least we have got the dark green camouflage on, and we haven't completely destroyed the model. So the next time, hopefully, put that clear coat on, put the decals on, and then of course panel lining will tie in a lot of this, and then maybe putting some filters, some oil filters over it, just to again tie everything together to make it look like it's all one thing rather than separate elements. So yeah, she's coming along. Let's see what the next one brings. Quit while I'm ahead. I think that's exactly right. So thank you all for bearing with me during the last 2 hours of what was a much more difficult paint application than it should have been. But we did at least get to a reasonable point to conclude. And yeah, thanks very much for joining me. Have a great weekend. And I will probably see you, maybe, on Airfix and Chill on Monday night. Join me if you can. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.